Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. The instruments are meant to follow me. I'm not meant to follow the instruments. So if the instruments cannot follow me, no instrument. Jaya Radha Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanatari Jamuna Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Radha Madhavarade Jaya Radha Madhavarade Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Gaur Pimanande. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace and Shirabai Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki He founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinama Sankirtana Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jainitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Shadam Etam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Mudiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Rishi, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Uttama Charitam
Uttama Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat.
Dhanyam Swasayanam Mahat.
The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Dhṛtarāṣṭra, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Sridham Mayapur. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Caitanya
Sri Krishna Caitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vasaram pangam langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripa tamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 13, entitled Dhṛtarāṣṭra Quits Home. Text number 38. Yes. Yes. Jagama Bhagavan Naradaha Saha Tumburuhu Prachutaya Bhivajya Sanujo Vyarchayan Munim Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Saha Tumburuhu Prachutaya Bhivajyaha Sanujo Vyarchayan Munim Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Saha Tumburuhu Prachutaya Bhivajyaya Prachutaya Bhivajyaha Sanujo Vyarchayan Munim Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Prachuttaya Bhivajyaha
Pradyutaya Vivadyaha
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim Atha Jagama Bhagavana
Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Pratyuthaya Vivadyaha
Praputya Vivajyaha
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim
Atha Jagama Bhagavana
Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Pratyuthaya Vivadyaha
Prachuttaya Vivajyaha
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim
Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Pratyuthaya Vivadyaha
Prajuttaya Vivavyaha
Sanujo Abhyarchayan Munim
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim
Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Atha Jagama Bhagavan
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Narada Sahatum Buruhu
Pratyuttaya Vivadyaha
Prachuttaya Vivadyaha
Sanujo Abhyarchayan Munim
Sanujo Vyarasayan Munim Atha Thereafter Ajagama
Jagama
arrived personality
the godly personality
Narada
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 Sahatumburuhu
Sahatumburuhu
along with his tumburu
along with his tumburu
musical instrument
musical instrument
Prachuttaya
Pratyuttaya
having gotten up from their seats
having gotten up from their seats
Abhivadya
Abhivadya
offering their due obeisances
offering their due obeisances
Aha
Aha
said
said
Sa Anujaha
Sanjaya
along with younger brothers
along with younger brothers
Abhyarsayan
Abhyarchayan
thus while receiving
thus while receiving
in a proper mood
in a proper mood
Munim
Munim
the sage.
the sage.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai Prabhupada.
While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. Kindly repeat after me. While Sanjaya was thus speaking,
While Sanjaya was thus speaking,
Sri Narada,
Sri Narada,
the powerful devotee of the Lord,
the powerful devotee of the Lord,
appeared on the scene
appeared on the scene
carrying his tumburu.
carrying his tumburu.
Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers
Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers
received him properly
received him properly
by getting up from their seats
by getting up from their seats
and offering obeisances.
and offering obeisances.
Purport. Devarshi Narada is described herein as Bhagavan due to his being the most confidential devotee of the Lord. The Lord and his very confidential devotees are treated on the same level by those who are actually engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Such confidential devotees of the Lord are very much dear to the Lord because They travel everywhere to preach the glories of the Lord in different capacities and try their utmost to convert the non-devotees of the Lord into devotees in order to bring them to the platform of sanity. Actually, a living being cannot be a non-devotee of the Lord because of his constitutional position. But when one becomes a non-devotee or non-believer, it is to be understood that the person concerned is not in a sound condition of life. The confidential devotees of the Lord treat such illusion living beings, and therefore they are most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dearer to him than one who actually preaches the glories of the Lord to convert the non-believers and non-devotees. Such personalities as Narada must be offered all due respects, like those offered to the personality of Godhead himself. And Maharaj Yudhishthira, along with his noble brothers, were examples for others in receiving a pure devotee of the Lord, who had no other business save and except singing the glories of the Lord, along with his vina, a musical stringed instrument. Translation again. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brothers received him properly from their seats and offering obeisances. So some important points are being presented here. The whole exchange is taking place between Sanjaya and Yudhishthira Maharaj. Dhṛtarāṣṭra was staying for many, many years under the shelter of Yudhishthira, and then Vidura, who was always actually the well-wisher. Vidura had tried so many times when he was in the palace. He was one of the he and grandfather Bhishmadev were always trying to give good counsel, good advice to Dhṛtarāṣṭra, but because he was overly attached to his son, Duryodhana, and he was influenced by him, and he could not actually follow the good advice. But finally, after many, many years, Vidura came and this we read in the last few days, spoke very strongly to Dhṛtarāṣṭra, and he finally, Prabhupada uses the expression, he finally received or got the inner vision, got that proper understanding that yes, I should not be living here. I should completely renounce and go to the Himalayas, which he did, of course. Him and his wife Gāndhārī, as well as Vidura. So Sanjaya was the most, he was for many, many years, very close actually, the closest person to Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Dhṛtarāṣṭra would always confide into him. Big people have like personal secretary. And personal secretaries, they know the in and out, the life of their master, you know. So he was very aggrieved that Dhṛtarāṣṭra, we read that purport yesterday, he cheated me. He didn't tell me that he was going to leave. He left without without revealing this to me, so he was very aggrieved, Sanjaya. And then this exchange between Yudhishthira and Sanjaya. Now Narada is appearing. Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that by constitution, the natural and eternal constitution of all living entities is actually to be devotees. This understanding or we could say it's only when this understanding is very embedded within someone who's a devotee, then he can see all living entities actually as devotees or as potential devotees. And therefore, the foremost of qualities of a Vaishnava is to reawaken that original consciousness for the living entity so that he can put an end to his suffering condition actually in the material world and especially reconnect or reestablish his lost relationship with Krishna. Prabhupada in the purport, as often he would mention, a little bit blunt initially for most people, but Prabhupada, he would, as he is mentioning here in the purport, anyone who is not Krishna conscious is crazy. Many years ago.
Who's crazy is not Krishna conscious?
I'm sorry?
Does that mean anyone who's crazy is also not Krishna conscious?
Anyone who is
the other way.
Anyone who is crazy is not Krishna conscious. Yes, works both ways. There was an article written many years ago in the Back to Godhead magazine entitled "Because Materialistic People Think Devotees Are Crazy." And devotees don't think that materialistic people are crazy. They know they're crazy. But that is based on knowledge. I mean, that is not meant to, it's not meant to offend, but it's meant to help awaken the conditioned soul to the reality that it's like when somebody is sick, he needs treatment. And when somebody is sick, he cannot function properly, isn't it? If you have a fever, or if you have a headache, or if you have a broken arm, or whatever, you can't function, cannot function normally. So, in other words, when we are not awakened to our original constitutional position or identity, means we're not in our normal condition. And what is that called? It's called abnormal. Abnormal. Prabhupada relates the story of one person who was sentenced to death because he had committed a very severe crime, maybe he killed someone, whatever. And then he had one lawyer pleading for him, and the lawyer was explaining, "My dear sir," addressing the judge, kindly excuse this person because he was not in proper, consciousness, obviously. So the physician was called to analyze that person, to assess his mental condition. And then the physician came back to the judge and he said, I have analyzed many people, and in my opinion, this person, not only this person, but how did he put that? Not only this person, but everyone actually is in insanity condition. Means everyone in the material world who is actually not not in terms of his actual eternal identity, is more or less crazy, more or less diseased. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is making the point how Narada Muni, he's one of those liberated personalities. He's one of the 12 Mahajans, and of course he will be coming to give good advice and help in the help Sanjaya here. So therefore the Vedic knowledge, Vedic teachings are there to help us actually come to, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, to come to the level of sanity. We can see also why is it that people commit so many crimes, or without necessarily committing crimes, are not sufficiently caring for others, or very often will offend others in so many ways. Even that happens amongst devotees, because that perfectional stage, which is not at all easy, then that possibility is there of making mistakes, of offending others, of in one lecture, actually, Prabhupada was explaining how, therefore, everyone in the material world is a criminal. Nobody likes to be called crazy. Nobody likes to be called a criminal. But in this one particular lecture, Prabhupada was mentioning all living entities who come in the material world, because they have broken their relationship with Krishna, and they are no longer, therefore, following the principles of dharma. They become infected by, what have we become infected with, or by? The three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature is our basic disease, which leads to forgetfulness of our original identity. And therefore, actually, when we stop and think about it, everyone who is totally devoid of this knowledge, or everyone who is totally devoid of Krishna consciousness, is in a very precarious position, because one doesn't have the means and the tools to deal with all the problems that is there in the material world. because by nature, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, the material world is full of problems. Dukalayam Shasvatam. No one can avoid the threefold miseries of life. No one can avoid the three modes of material nature. But there is, and this is instructed by personalities like Narada Muni, there is knowledge, there is a way, there is a system by which one can overcome one's disease condition. It's just like, who goes to see a physician? Someone who knows that something's not right, right? One has some disease, something, some pain. So in the same way, people, unless someone begins to understand that something is not in the material world, and for many people, actually, they cannot come to that understanding. That just like someone who's sick or diseased, he'll naturally approach a doctor, physician, to get well. So in a similar way, life, the problems of life that everyone faces, should lead one to that realization and understanding. I need some help to solve the actual problems of life. So Vedic knowledge is that proper knowledge that actually helps. And of course, there's so many different levels, even within spiritual knowledge. And the Bhagavatam in particular, as well as the Bhagavad Gita, is stressing and explaining how to put a final end to actually the problems of life. One needs to be introduced, must receive the knowledge that is given by personalities like Narada Muni, which specifically deal with what is meant to be the eternal activities of the spirit soul, which is activities of devotional service. Yeah. Why is Narada Muni especially important for us? It's an important question, and there's an important answer. We have many sadhus, we have many Vaishnava, exalted personalities who know the science of Krishna consciousness. But why specifically, why especially meant to be very special and is Vaishnavas? Someone can say.
Does it have to do with his backstory? How he came to become Narada Muni? His backstory of having fallen?
Not really, not exactly. Yeah.
Narada Muni shares the message of the Lord with everybody, and he is a guru for so many great souls. He
Yes.
shares the knowledge as it is from the Supreme Lord.
Yes, Narada Muni is in Guru Parampara. He is receiving his knowledge directly from his father, Narada. Lord Brahma. And he has many exalted personalities who are his disciples, like Vyasadeva. Yes. But specifically, yes, because he is on that, he is Mahajan, one of the 12 Mahajans. Narada Muni is special in that he is expert uh, in the two main, we could say the two main levels of dharma. He is and by teachings showing us the science of bhakti, devotion, which is the eternal and highest level of realization. So he is expert in that, in the spiritual dharma. Also, which is very important, as described in the 7th canto. In the 7th canto, the last 5 chapters are Narada Muni's whole presentation, explanation in detail of Varnashrama Dharma, which is actually the material understanding, material dimension of Dharma. So he is actually the foremost teacher of these of Dharma, and therefore, for the devotees, for the Vaishnavas, who are meant to actually understand and demonstrate and live these two levels of Dharma, therefore he has that special and unique, we could say, position. So sometimes he just elaborates on the whole level of bhakti, devotional service, and sometimes he very elaborately discusses the foundational principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Because actually, we are here in the material world having to deal with these two levels of reality, isn't it? Which is, that's what Krishna explained in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 7, that to actually be properly situated, who knows that verse? 7:2. Jnanam teham sabhijnanam. These two things, Jnanam and Vigyan, Gyan and Vigyan. Jnanam teham sabhijnanam idam vakshyamyasheshataha yajgatva neha bhuyo nyaj gattavyam abhashishyate. And the translation is, Krishna speaking to Arjuna, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and noumenal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. So what is phenomenal knowledge? Jnanam. Actually, huh? Somebody? That's what I just said. Yeah. Means that in the purport, Prabhupada refers to material knowledge. Means there's
what I heard from my Shiksha Guru, he told that Vijnana means it keeps changing, but Jnana is very constant. Vijnana gets derived from Jnana.
Not quite.
Because Vijnana is being translated as application of knowledge. So application can be multifolded, so that's why it keeps changing. That's how they present it.
In this, well, let's just read the purport so that we can hear directly from Prabhupada. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world and the spirit behind it. So in this context, phenomenal world, in the word for word, stated as phenomenal knowledge. Phenomenal world means the material world, isn't it? Material world, which means matter.
Phenomenon, things that happen materially, phenomena,
Yes,
occurrences in material.
yes. So it means matter. In other words, Krishna in this verse is making the difference between matter and spirit. So that's what this first line proper in the purport. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, material knowledge, and behind it means the spiritual dimension of knowledge, which is referred to as Vigyan. Let's just read the purport. The source of both of them is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above-mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord directly in disciplic succession. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object of meditation in all types of yoga practices. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas say, Yasmin Vijjate Sarvam Eva Dvignatam Bhavanti. Just like Krishna has different energies. Krishna's internal energy, Antaranga Shakti, which is spiritual.
Yes.
Krishna's external energy, Bahir Ahanga Shakti, which is material. And in between, the Tattva Shakti, the Jiva, the living entity, who is spiritual by nature, but when the living entity comes in the material world, here we are, we take on matter. We become intimately connected with material nature,
Yes.
with matter. So in other words, we're sitting here, and because we're sitting here, it means that we are having this very closely knit connection, tightly this combination of matter and spirit, isn't it? The spirit is the jiva within the living entity, and the matter is this body. So in other words, because we are here in the material world, it is important for us to understand all things related to matter. If we don't know how to cook, for example, the body will not be healthy. We won't be satisfied. The body has some basic needs, basic necessities of life. So in other words, Krishna creates. This is mentioned here. Actual real knowledge is to know these two levels of reality, a spiritual reality and material reality, and know who is the origin, means Krishna is the origin of both of these energies, and what is meant to be the relationship. So in other words, as devotees, and that's the point I'm trying to make regarding Narada Muni, he is that personality who gives us very thorough knowledge and understanding And human form of life is to deepen our understanding and to live accordingly to the principles of spiritual swadharma as well as material swadharma. And when we either, generally it's unknowingly, when we unknowingly minimize or not sufficiently or fully understand either one of them, and it becomes even more critical when we don't understand either of them, then it's chaos. That is the situation in the world today. There is no proper understanding of of spiritual life, nor is there a proper understanding of material life. There's no understanding of material swadharma, nor understanding of spiritual swadharma. And this is a very important point. It is the duty and responsibility of devotees, Vaishnavas especially, means as well, Narada Muni especially exemplifies this quality of great compassion, because that's one of the points Prabhupada is making here, that personalities like Narada Muni, they travel, they travel around the world to actually help individuals come in contact or cultivate this we could say dual level of knowledge or dual level of dharma. And for us as devotees, if we actually want to show full and real compassion upon others, we need to also become familiar with, we also need to follow basically in the footsteps of Narada Muni to know these two levels of dharma. Yes.
I'm in a Bhakti Shastri course right now, and we're doing Nectar of Devotion.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring up a paragraph from chapter 13 to sort of resolve some doubt.
Okay.
Not really doubt. I think I know the explanation, but
okay,
to bring back to the class.
Yes.
So here's a paragraph, and practicing devotional, not accepted by the great authorities. I remember this idea when he was talking with Ramananda Roy about the gradual development of devotional service. He rejected the idea of the importance of Varnashram Dharma when it was put forward by Ramananda Roy. He said, Varna and ashram is merely external. There is a higher principle. In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says that one has to give up all other principles of elevation and take simply to the method of Krishna consciousness. This will help one in achieving the highest perfection of life.
Yes. This is a quotation from
Nectar of Devotion, chapter 13. 5 potent devotional service.
Yes.
So, I mean, I have an understanding, but
Yes.
it sounds like on first glance, it sounds like they're rejecting the whole idea. Just throw away Varnashram and concentrate only on the Krishna conscious spiritual
That is
methodologies.
Yes, that is part of the controversy that is there.
Oh. But it doesn't say that's. It doesn't say throw it out entirely. It says throw it out as the idea that it is sufficient on its own in order to elevate to Krishna consciousness.
Well, closely analyze what is actually being explained.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Chaitanya, in the whole, because it was mentioned here about the conversation Lord Chaitanya, which very often is quoted as here's the example: Lord Chaitanya rejected Varnashrama. So Prabhupada explains that actually Lord Caitanya did not reject Varnashrama. We need to look at the context of the conversation that was taking place between these two great personalities. Caitanya was inquiring as to what is actually the ultimate and highest level of realization or understanding. And Ramananda Roy had started actually with explaining the importance of Varnashrama. And Varnashrama, just to make it kind of like short, is not the ultimate goal. Yes. So we can easily accept and understand that if we are to choose what is the ultimate goal, then Varnashrama needs to be rejected because that's not the ultimate goal. However, for the conditioned souls in the material world, Varnashrama is the system that has been created by Krishna and that has been given to all of humanity. It is the perfect system, which is what Narada Muni explains and elaborates in the 7th canto, from chapter 11 to 15, the last 5 chapters of that 7th canto, where he speaks about the perfect society for social divisions, chapter 11. Chapter 12, the perfect society for spiritual divisions. Then chapter 14, ideal family life. In other words, Varnashrama, there's mainly 2 kinds of Varnashrama understanding also. One is the Varnashrama that is devoid actually of bhakti.
Which I feel they're talking about. That's what I feel they're talking about when they talk about rejecting Varnashrama.
Yes, Varnashrama which is devoid of bhakti is referred to as asuric Varnashrama. So anything that is asuric, which means that is impure, anything that is impure naturally needs to be rejected. So asuric Varnashrama we reject because that is not leading us to the ultimate goal and destination, which is Krishna, which is bhakti devotional service. What our acharyas in the last, especially, is the center, and that is called Daiva Varnashrama. And that Daiva Varnashrama recommended by our Vaishnava acharyas, it is recommended in the Shastra as well, as being real material system and arrangement that will act. There's a wonderful purport, I'll just bring it up here, in this canto also, spoken by another Mahajan, Grandfather Bhishmadev. When Grandfather Bhishmadev is lying on his bed of arrows, this is in chapter 9, chapter 9, and he's requested to bring solace to Yudhishthira Maharaj, who took so many people had to die. He's thinking in this way, just so that I can become the king or the emperor. Millions of people died. So Grandfather Bhishmadev begins at the very beginning here. I think it's 9. Is it 9? Yes. It's, yes. Basically, 6. Got it. Yes. 1926. So I'll read the text, and the very first line of the purport is addressing what is in question right now. Because I know that in Bhakti Shastri, I have spoken to devotees who have taken Bhakti Shastri, and this is one reference, there may be others as well, where seemingly Varnashrama is rejected. And this is a wrong understanding. This is a very wrong understanding. And this will become more clear here by this. I'll just read the first line of the purport, but first the translation of the text. So that is Canto 1, Chapter 9, the passing away of Bhishmadev. Text number 26. Yeah. So here's the translation of the text. At Maharaj Yudhishthira's inquiry, Bhishmadev first defined all the classifications of castes and orders of life in terms of the individual's qualifications. Then he systematically, in twofold divisions, described counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment. The purport. The conception of 4 castes and 4 orders of life, as planned by the Lord himself, Bhagavad Gita 4.13, Satur Varnam Maya Srisam, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, that very well-known verse. So the conception of 4 castes and 4 orders of life is to accelerate transcendental qualities so that he may gradually realize his spiritual identity and thus act accordingly to get free from material bondage or conditional life. In a conversation, actually there's many places, but in one particular conversation where this very topic was being discussed, devotees claiming or telling that, but Prabhupada, we are followers of Lord Caitanya. Our main process is bhakti. Simply by performing devotional service, by chanting the holy name, we can go back home, back to Godhead. The devotee was trying to explain that Varnashram is like kind of secondary, because if we just focus on bhakti, this is the Vaishnava process. This is the Vaishnava main focus. Then Prabhupada's response was that it is not so easy to claim ourselves to be Vaishnavas. It's not so easy. In other words, to be a devotee, to be a Vaishnava, it is not such an easy thing. And therefore Varnashrama is necessary for the vast majority of devotees who are still influenced or connected with the modes of material nature to follow Varnashrama. And another great personality who is also well-versed on the whole topic of Varnashrama, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he states how the system of Varnashrama is for the Vaishnavas who are still in their... Varnashrama is for the Vaishnavas in their conditioned state. Which means, one may say, okay, that means that if we are no longer conditioned by the modes of material nature, we don't need Varnashrama. Theoretically, that is true, because one who is on the level of Paramahamsa, he is not obligated to follow all the rules and regulations. However, because that Paramahamsa knows that this system is created by Krishna, he will respect and just to give example. Prabhupada also explains how someone who is on the Paramahamsa level, on the Uttamadhikari platform, he will come down from that platform to the Madhyamadhikari platform to preach. So things need to be understood in their proper context. And someone said another, where's that? Oh, God. Yeah. 15:15. 15:15. Here's a purport that if you just read this purport, huh? Yeah. But the purport is what is interesting. It's a short purport. Not 15:15. Oh, I'm in the wrong chapter. Chapter 14. So 15, we're just about there. Yes. Mm, 15:15. Yeah, that verse that is Vedaisa Sarvara Ahamaiva Vidyo Vedantaktit Vidavit Ivisaham. There was something here about Varnashram, I'm not finding it. So, yeah, in a number of places, I mean, Varnashram is mentioned in so many places, and and there are, just like you quoted from the Nectar of Devotion, there are statements that seem to indicate that Varnashrama is not important. The point being that it needs to be, it can only be properly understood if we, as a whole, see it in proper context. Yeah.
One observation.
Huh?
One observation.
Yes.
You have mentioned 7th canto, chapter 11 to 15.
Yes.
Is more like a textbook for Varnashrama.
Yes.
It was very detailed.
Yes.
But what I have been observing is from the very first canto itself, as I continue to progress, there was no narration which went outside the context of Varnashrama. Let it be the kings dealing with Swami or Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, all chapters in one way or other, as Prabhupada explains the purpose, the cultural presentation, as you mentioned, of Bhagavatam, in the context, like with the Varnashrama kind of, circumstances has been actually included.
Right.
It is any individual who is actually studying, it's easy to understand that all the great personalities are functioning under the
Within the system.
framework of Varnashrama.
Right.
And where when it is particularly contextualized and elaborated in detail, 11 to chapter 11 to 15 of because specifically it was asked by Yudhishthira Maharaj to Narada Muni. Then he allowed it.
So if I understand the point you're making is that in the first canto and other cantos, the different narrations that are presented, they are all within the system of Varna.
Even the very chapter Bhishma, Dhṛtarāṣṭra quits home.
Right.
He actually Vidra inspires him like you are already in Vanaprastha age, so you have that's part of Varnashram.
Yeah, but
In Vanaprastha, it's a part of Varnashram. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
couldn't separate
Right.
as long as activities of devotees.
See, we need to understand basically that Varnas, Prabhupada makes statements like, if one is not part of varnashram, he is not even considered civilized human being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maharaj, what I feel is the absence of Daivi Varnashrama is very dangerous to the society, because in
Yes.
the absence of Varnashrama, there is so much chaos, and when they are not doing the duties properly, it affects them on a
Yes.
long run, plus the other people around them in a long run.
Yes, yes, and that is the present state of affairs in the world. Because, yeah, Prabhupada makes that point as well. Because there is no proper system, therefore we have what is called Varna Sankara. When Varnashrama is not in, means people, Varnashrama means people know what are both their spiritual duties and responsibilities as well as their material duties and responsibilities. Within our ISKCON society now, we know something about our spiritual responsibilities, our spiritual duties and responsibilities, our prescribed duties on the spiritual level. However, we are lacking. We are lacking in proper understanding of what is meant to be our material duties and responsibilities.
I can relate my pretty much my own experience, because if we have and we arrive at Krishna consciousness strictly through focusing on material varnashram system on the one hand. On the other hand, can we arrive at the material perfect varnashram system by focusing on Krishna consciousness? Two methods. I came into Krishna consciousness chanting, eating prasadam, associated with knowing nothing about varnashram system.
Yes, yes.
And now I've come through that to Your Holiness and knowing something about varnashram.
Right.
And I see that Your Holiness does not compromise at all on the spiritual aspects.
Right.
You always your Holiness always brings all the proper chanting and introduction to everything. You don't skip over things or compromise
Right.
in order to say let's make the farm perfect.
And at the same time, bring up the importance of that social system.
Well, constantly, yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't feel from a lot of other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So this is my own how my own journey has arrived at that
Right.
way. Now,
Yeah.
if I had gone to a farm and just learned all the sciences of farming and so on with no spiritual aspect, I don't think.
That we're not promoting vegetarianism. You know, we're not promoting farming. We're promoting, prasadam. We're promoting food that is described in the mode of goodness, which is vegetarian food, but with offered to Krishna, which means sanctified food. And we're not just pushing for people to become farmers. We want people to connect with Krishna, but the farming or agriculture, and which our own devotees are unaware of, largely. Otherwise, if we knew that this is the ideal means of livelihood for householders, especially, because it's the householders who are meant to, then we would be acting on that platform. We're not acting on that platform because we're not understanding. Yes.
Maharaj, one more thing, what especially the cow products which are there, Panchagavya.
Yes.
Within 72 hours, if we don't consume any of one, even the higher sciences like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, our brain cannot understand. So such is the great importance of maintaining Varnashram.
The deplorable condition of our brain. Yes.
One of the points which Prabhupada made, can I just read?
Yes. From where?
From Prabhupada's lecture.
Which lecture?
That Mayapur, February 14th,
1977.
1977.
Okay. Yes.
There, maybe we can go to a lot
Okay.
of things. A small point, which another. In big scale, you cannot make all of them Brahmanas or Sannyasis. No, that is not possible. This is small scale.
Right.
people in the world are we attracting? Very insignificant.
Yes.
But if you want to make the whole human society perfect, then this Krishna consciousness movement should be introduced according to Krishna's instruction. That is Chaturvarnyam Maya system.
Yes.
If you want to do it in a large scale for the benefit of the whole human society.
Yes.
Now we are picking up some that is one thing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Parupkar. Why only a section of people should be picked up? Let the whole mass of people get the benefit of it. But then it is required to be systematic.
Yes.
Therefore, we have to introduce this Varnashram.
Yes. Somebody else had their hand up? Yes.
I also read that part in few days before, and I am planning to ask you this question.
Yes.
So my question is that, like Prabhupada says, some people are saying that simply by following Varnashram one can achieve the supreme goal. Like
Yes.
Krishna says in 1845 BG, simply by following this Varnashram one can achieve the supreme destination. But why Prabhupada said, but authority did not accept it?
Authority?
Authority did not accept it in Bhakti Raghava Swami.
Authority.
Yes, like Sridham Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
Oh, well, means that it's not simply by following a material system. It's not simply by becoming vegetarian that we become Krishna conscious. We have to make that link and that connection with Krishna. So that's why our acharyas have put the term Daiva Varnashrama. Just ordinary Varnashrama can gradually bring one to the mode of goodness, but that transcendental level or aspect or ingredient is missing. So therefore, Daiva Varnashrama for us, for devotees, means the same material system but with Krishna in the center. When that is properly understood, then that whole material system and arrangement becomes actually transformed into something spiritual. That's why, again, how no karmic reaction. It is not materiality. It's a material system created by Krishna, and when we keep Krishna in the center, as Prabhupada would use that term, it becomes Krishnized. It becomes spiritualized. So all of our activities, when performed in that proper consciousness, are not incurring or creating karma. So it's not, in other words, sometimes people will say, well, Varnashram is Kamakanda or Jnanakanda. No, it is above that. Daiva Varnashrama. Ordinary materialistic Varnashrama, that is Kamakanda. People act, it's like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks of karma, vikarma, and akarma. So in other words, Varnashrama, when Krishna is in the center, becomes a karma. No karma created, because we are engaged, regardless of our position, in the varnas, regardless of our position in the ashramas, we're all engaged in devotional service.
This statement is for Asuri Varnashram.
Krishna. Reject everything that is asuric. It's a big topic, but yeah, one that is important to visit, and it comes up again and again, especially in the Bhagavatam. Okay, I think we need to close for now. Jai Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande.
I think we should